This might just be the coolest thing that I own. This is trinitite. It might not look like much, but this rock has a pretty wild story that takes us to the heart of how we think nature organizes atoms when it creates solid matter. In 1945, the Manhattan Project detonated the first atomic bomb somewhere in the New Mexico desert. And the pressure and the temperature from that blast was so intense that it melted and fused the desert sand as well as the copper power lines and electrical monitoring equipment into a blood red glass. Literally the world's first atomic glass. In 2021, researchers found out that some samples of trinitite were actually much stranger than we originally thought. They found a quasicrystal in trinitite. So if you don't know, quasicrystals are these really strange structures. Usually, solid crystals are made of a pure repeating pattern. For the longest time, we thought that was the only way that solid material could really form. That is until 1983, when Paul Steinhardt and his then student Dov theorized a new type of matter, quasicrystals. These structures would have something called forbidden symmetries. These are rotational symmetries where you can still see some kind of order, but they never repeat. We thought quasicrystals could only form in a lab and that nature was just incapable of making them. That's an assumption that's slowly getting overturned. That same Paul Steinhardt teamed up with an Italian mineralogist, Luca Bindi, and they hunted down the world's first natural quasicrystal in a meteorite fragment that they recovered from the far eastern regions of Russia. So if these meteorite crashes, these big impacts where atoms are kind of smashed together could form quasicrystals, why not other impacts? So in 2021, they were looking at samples of trinitite. If you think about it, it's kind of the biggest human-made blast of all, and they found one. In 2023, they found another quasicrystal in fossilized lightning, basically where lightning bolts strike the sand and melt it into a quasicrystal. So what does it mean? Well, there's been a bunch of new research that tries to really unpack the hidden rules of solid matter, showing that quasicrystals have hidden long-range magnetic order, or that they even have hidden symmetries when we analyze them in higher dimensions.